University. This time we hear ASUU is on strike again, and the matter before ASUU and the government this time seem to be a familiar one. Joining us to look at this matter, the ASUU strike, is the chairman of ASUU, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Unilag chapter, Dr. Karo Ogbinaka. Good morning.
Good morning, Chamberlain.
Well, anyway, we thought by now we should have gone past this. We remember the last time you came here, you talked about this, and we saw it coming. But again, the lecturers sheathed their swords because they said there was this talks with the government. What finally happened, and how come the schools are shut again?
Well, it's another unfortunate strike. But the fact is that we had what we call memorandum of understanding with the federal government's representatives. And I'll put it this way: there was agreements to commitments, and the time, the date at that time was November 24th. Between that time and now, I'll tell you, not much have been achieved apart from media promises. So that's the problem.
What exactly are the issues?
They are very familiar issues.
Every time you go on strike, what we see in the papers, they appeal to the lecturers, and such kind of impression people get is that, well, the lecturers, they just love to go on strike.
It's unfortunate, really, but I will put it this way: we have a vision of what a university should be. We have a vision of the type of institutions we should have and call universities, and somewhere along the line we've been able to convince governments that this is what should be. It is not enough for you to just build hospitals that you will not use as the builder. It is not enough for you to just build universities that you will not want your children to attend, but you want other people's children to be there, and you want us to teach and award degree. And we told government that this is not right. We are academics. This is not moral. And it's as if government had that impression in 2009 that once you pay these people, that the real intention they have for going on strike is actually not the schools, not the system, but salaries. So between 2009 and now, to be honest to government, and we must thank them for this, they've been paying us our salaries. But the institutions we work, the environment, university is about three things: classroom, laboratory, and library. Are your libraries okay? Are the classroom what they ought to be? Are the lecturers there? Are the facilities there? What is the standard of your laboratories? If you don't have these three things, you don't have a university. And that is the position of the union. You will need to fund the schools. We need the basic laws.
Sorry, Dr. Ogbinaka, were you in talks with the government before this final strike?
You see,
these issues you just highlighted.
They are familiar issues. The Minister of Education will not deny them. They know. You see, we've moved from the aspect of theory to practice now. In actual fact, we're not even talking about negotiation. We're talking about implementation. You see, you have a blueprint. Go and implement. That is just the problem.
But why is it that it appears the organization is never waits to see these things to concluded end?
It's not that we never wait. We're academics. If you look at it this way, look at it this way.
You suspend.
Look at it this way. You say you want to build a house. I say, okay, I'll give you the time to look for the resources. I'll give you the time to start the building. But I discovered that over the period, apart from promises, you've not even acquired the site. Not to talk of laying a foundation. And I know the fund is there. So you see, we've gotten to a place where government likes reacting, not proacting, and that is where the problem is. If we keep quiet in the next 4 years, the issue will be there.
Some will say it would have been better for you that you didn't suspend your last strike, that you stayed on that strike until government began to implement, instead of always as they do it once instead of going back.
I agree with you, but look at it this way. We had to go on strike to make government come to the negotiation table. We had a negotiation. We had to go on a major struggle again for it to be signed, for the agreement to be signed.
Okay.
Now we have to go on strike again
for implementation. So what's the guarantee that you go on another strike
and look
for
at
the
it this way.
completion?
Look at it this way. We have to first of all convince government that education, it should be a priority.
Dr. Ogbinaka, what's the guarantee that you will not go on another strike for the completion?
I will tell you one thing. If I say that, I'll become a prophet. I don't want to be a prophet here. But let me tell you one thing. Do you know the government have not implemented the minimum wage? What is the pre-strike attitude to that now? But tomorrow, if Labour comes out and say we are down in tools over minimum wage, Nigerians will begin to ask why. You see, it's a system where children have to cry before you give them what they want, rather than anticipate and give to them.
It's interesting. I've been quiet because most time we've done this over and over and over again. I'm wondering that at this rate, I know that ASUU claims to have the interest of a university environment at heart, which ultimately will benefit the students. But so far so good. If we know that we're going to keep proceeding on these strikes, is there anything we're doing to keep students engaged while we're on strike?
You see, it's value system. While we're on strike, students, they have their assignments, they have the libraries there. If it's a reading culture, it gives people, even the students, ample opportunity to conduct their research. They're not chased out of schools. But what is the attitude? The moment the lecturers say they're on strike, parents will begin to tell students, come home. You see the point? If we had a reading culture, the students they have facilities, library, they have their reading. But look at it. Let me put it this way. The reading culture is inculcated right from primary to secondary school, then into the university. So parents should begin to have what we call the prep culture at home. Do you have organized reading time for your children at home? If you don't have that, they won't just get to the university and develop it.
No, but if parents,
the point we're making is this. Let us just take it this way. You see, if you look at it from the bigger picture, the students will ultimately benefit. Because I was in Ghana for 2 years. You will see the cocoa farmer's child sitting side by side with a minister's child in Nigeria, with a commissioner's child from Nigeria, with a local government chairman's child. Now, in terms of networking, that cocoa farmer's child in Legon, UCC, at Cape Coast, is not. If he comes to Nigeria, it's likely going to network better than in Nigeria.
In other words,
his Nigerian counterpart is creating a class problem. In the next 20 years, there's going to be the class of Nigerians who schooled offshore with the class of Nigerians who schooled in Nigeria here, and a class of poor people.
Maybe you put some bit of logic into all of this. Why is it that the super rich and the farmer's child, not even cocoa farmer, an ordinary peasant now's child is in the same university with the super rich kids because of what?
Now look at it this way.
Now
look at it this way. Those days, most of these elites we have in Nigeria, they all schooled in Nigeria. When I was a student, I had governors' children as my classmates. So it gives us that leverage. It's a leveler, and it makes us very friendly and all that. So when we go to town, we could communicate at that level. But today, the average Nigerian child is denied that. You don't even have foreigners in our universities. We're even talking about the elites. Why don't the minister's child in Ghana school in Nigeria? You see, these are issues people look at. It has to do with the condition of the hostels. These people know that. You see, there is what we call genuine death, an unfortunate death in Nigeria today. You know, if you die abroad, it is believed that you've tried your best. The medical facilities are better there. But if you die in Nigeria, it's an unfortunate death because they know the hospitals are not good. And things should not be that way. So it's not necessarily about ASUU. It's not. I'm not speaking first as the chairman of ASUU. I'm a Nigerian, so I have a right to say this is the type of education I want for my children.
When you talk about education now, and you talk about the concern you have for the country, it reminds us of what should have been getting research from such institutions and putting such findings before
in
the
other places,
before the government.
No, in other places.
How well do you, your members of your union, send such research and findings to the government, and how well do they implement same?
Now, in other places where you have problem, you go to the universities. In Nigeria, when you have problems, you because you know the type of universities you have, you bring in experts. Even when these experts are failing, you see, these are things we've anticipated. If we run the university system and we tell you XYZ is required as necessary and sufficient condition, and you are saying no, then something is funny somewhere. That is the point.
But I'm still bothered. I'm still bothered about the children. I mean, the students. If we say
now,
that, you know, so far so good. We haven't done any research on the impact that these strikes have on the students who come to our universities to learn. But we do know that they are affected adversely, and it's not exactly good for the continuation. So what exactly are we doing? If we know that this is going to happen over and over again, what exactly are we doing to shield them? Now, so that while we're canvassing for whatever it is we want from the government, they are also being constructively engaged. I know that you already mentioned the reading culture. I would say that parents have a right to ask their children to come home, because people will say, what exactly are they doing there? Idle hands, devil's workshop. They might start getting into all sorts of mischief. What proactive steps is ASUU taking to actually make sure that the students are constructively engaged, even though they're officially out of session?
Now, you see, that is where things are messed up. Messed up in one very crucial sense. People, I always tell people that you don't compromise quality. Either you are educated or you are not. A half-educated medical doctor is a killer. There's no two ways about it. But you know, the society tends to have this impression that keep them there for 4 years and graduate them out. Somewhere along the line, we're going to solve the problem. And we're saying, no, it is not right. When the Ghana crisis came, Rawlings shut down universities in Ghana for 2 years. For 2 years. Parents were shouting. We said, look, this is exactly, we have to get it right. And today we are going to Ghana. But this country, we tend to love palliatives. A little Panadol here, we go on, instead of treating the ailment. Government is aware. The agreement is a blueprint. It's a blueprint about the vision of the university system. But I want to make one point very clear. Is it not baffling that strikes or no strikes, you get to realize that most Nigerian parents still want their children to attend public universities? It's to tell you that really, because of the struggles of ASUU, you may call it strikes, but some of us is the struggle. I'm not a politician, I'm an educationist, and I want that sector from primary to secondary to be worth its while. I believe what we owe our children is education, as invariably what the government owes the Nigerian youth, is education.
Well, a quick one here, and maybe in 30 seconds, tell us about that vision that you would want to see in our universities in closing.
Education that will develop the mind and society.